Hello people of YouTube, welcome to another Ludi video. The best video for EU4 on the internet. Confirmed, I got 25 BAFTA awards. Somebody else gave them to me, okay? I promise. Totally not my mom. So let's talk about the best countries for beginners, the easiest nations to play as in EU4. Now, of course, we will start it off with Castile. Castile is a massive blob of a nation. Look at all that yellow on the map, man. This is just insane. Now, Castile's got a really easy expansion path. You can take over Granada, and if you follow your mission tree, do it. Follow your mission tree. Then you basically see everything laid out over here. You're gonna get a PU over Aragon. Oh no, but they rival me, Ludi. What to do? No problem. Don't panic, okay? Even if they rivaled you, you can still trigger the PU under two circumstances. You need to have leaders of opposite genders. That means female, male, or I think it was a regency or something of the sort. Or there's a third option, which is a timer. Within a certain amount of time, it's automatically gonna trigger the PU. And if you play as either Aragon or Castile, the player gets the PU over the other side. It's all granted, okay? You also can get a PU over the Portuguese, expand in North Africa. Best part, you can go colonial, get all the riches from the New World, exterminate the natives, and then come back and bring all that juicy gold back home. Because you're such a big nation, you have an easy time expanding, and then forming the Roman Empire too if you want. That's a little bit more for advanced players, okay? I have videos for advanced players you can watch. We'll find them in the description. Since we're over here, also Portugal is a really great nation to start off as. Despite being a little bit smaller, Portugal starts with a historical friendship with the Castilians. That means a lot of the times Castile is going to be allying you, so you don't need to worry about Castile attacking. If you're a more experienced player, you can attack Castile. Then you can take two provinces, these areas, and then you release Leon and Galicia, and you just feed them back all of their cores in the next war. You can also take La Mancha for yourself, which is a gold mine, and best part, you can expand into Granada, and you can also expand into North African parts. But aside from that, Portugal has an ace up its sleeve. The ace, it's the flagship. I cannot build that right now, but essentially the flagship allows you to explore the entirety of the world before you even have exploration ideas because of the extra range that it has. It has plus 100 range. Another great part about the Portuguese is the fact that they have a really overpowered naval doctrine. Talking about the Portuguese Marines, which offers naval barrage minus 40%, marine force limit plus 50%. That itself makes Portugal insanely overpowered. It means you basically have two manpower pools, your sailors and your manpower. The sailors for the Portuguese, because you're going to be a colonial empire, it's going to ramp up massively, so you're going to be able to recruit a ton of Marines with that sailor pool. Also to be noted is the fact that if you go for this doctrine, minus 40% naval barrage, that means every fort by a sea tile is going to be really easy to take and cheap, because 40% from the naval doctrine and another 40% from your flagship. The Portuguese get minus 80% naval barrage cost, so it only costs 10 mana to barrage fort, and once you get 100 innovativeness, it costs 2 mana. Check out my Portugal video, I have it in the description as well. I have it in the description videos, guides as you like to call them, for all of these countries that I'm presenting here. France is the overpowered nation that everybody in chat knew would be on this list, of course. France is the most overpowered nation at the start of the game, in my opinion. It starts with 5 super strong vassals and a special privilege that allows you to have an extra 3 diplo relations, and you can easily take the English lands from the very start. Just declare your reconquest CB, declare the war, and then you can take over the British lands. You can get your war score from occupying the Portuguese provinces, and don't peace out Portugal directly, just peace out the English. You can also take the province of the Pale, then you can expand into Ireland and make your way into the British Isles. Eventually you want to take the Netherlands area, so you can change your main trade node to the English Channel node, which is the strongest in the game. And the best part about the French is they can become the HRE Emperor easily, and I have a video in which I become the HRE Emperor. Check it out in the description below. I even reform and form the HRE itself. You also, as the French, can easily kill off the Austrians and everybody around you. The armies are super strong, and the national ideas also are insane. You get an extra 20% morale of armies, so that alone is massive. Together with discipline and the national manpower, you're basically almost on par with the Prussian. Only thing missing is the the infantry compatibility. And yes, France does have the sweetest, chattiest borders ever. England obviously also is here, despite not being as strong as the French, and at the start the English have a debuff, let's say, the French, but if you're an experienced player, you can easily take over the French lands, kill them off. If you're a newer player, I recommend you abandon the provinces in France and you go back and take these provinces later from the French, because first you're going to need to concentrate on unifying the British Isles, kill off Scotland, kill off the Irish lands. You can kill all of these by 1455, 1460, the latest, and then after you can start focusing on the mainland, take back the cores you lost and so on. You can even get a PU on France. Don't recommend doing that. You should instead go for releasing Gascony and feeding Gascony the south part of France, and then after getting the PU if you still want it, or just directly eating all of France. It's pretty easy to eat all of this, especially by vassal feeding the cores. The English excel at navies. They have the strongest navies in the game, and they have the unique naval doctrine here, which offers +1 naval combat off of owned coasts. That means around the British Isles, whenever somebody attacks you, you're going to get a massive bonus to the dice roll, and you're likely going to be winning those battles if you have enough ships, of course. So make sure you have enough ships. Aside from that, you're in the trade channel, the English channel. You have 50% at the start. You can get us up to 75-80% in the first few years, and that means you're going to get a massive amount of money just from the trade income. 16 ducats by the 1500, 1550. This goes up to 150, 200 ducats if you min-max a little bit. England is also a super great nation to be playing toll as. So as an example here, we can start by giving out to the burghers the exclusive trade rights, private trade fleets, all of the schnapps, boom, boom, boom. Then we can sell title, and we go here, we go encourage development. From 1444, you can develop provinces for 30 development, 30 mana, which is super cheap from the very start. Even if you want to just play toll, you don't want to go back to the mainland of Europe, this is the nation to play. And it has so much flavor. The mission tree is massive. Not to mention, once you form the British nation, you get a lot of extra missions, like 30 extra missions. It's a lot of things you can do. You can play this nation until the late game as well, and it's always going to bring some new events that you probably never knew existed. It costs 22. It just didn't refresh. So look at this, right? It's 25 from day one. So you go 1, 2, boom, 24 to develop these provinces. It's really ridiculously cheap considering it's from 1444. So once you actually get the playing toll ideas, this is going to be 4 mana points from 1500, which is insane. Of course, this wouldn't be a top 10 easy nations without the nation of the Ottomans. Very likely the most overpowered nation for beginners. But if you're not a beginner, then France is stronger than the Ottomans from the start, but if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're just winging it, or you're new to the game, then yes, Ottomans is the nation for you, because it's a lot easier to handle. The Ottomans have insanely huge amounts of flavor. They got the Janissary troops. Basically, these guys do not take up any of your manpower pool. You can just recruit them. They only cost 10 military mana, so you can have, say, boom, 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 15 Janissaries from day one. You basically just went over your land force limit, which means you can do this mission right here. It also means you can do reform the Imperial Army, so you got claims on the entirety of Anatolia before unpausing. Boom. You want to focus though on killing off Kandar, and whilst you're killing off Kandar, you want to get your claim on Constantinople. After you took care of Kandar, kill off Constantinople, the Byzantines kill them off, and then you unlock the rest of your mission tree. It's very intuitive, very easy to follow this mission tree, and it basically paints out what expansion path you should be having as the Ottomans. They got a lot of other stuff, like they have the Ottoman government, which ensures that you always have heirs. You have 3 options for heirs to choose from. Based on those options, you can choose the one with the highest amount of mana points. You also have the Pasha interaction, which basically lowers the unrest in provinces, but it has some debuffs, construction cost increase, and so on, so keep that in mind. And the best part is, you don't need to worry about other religions, because heathens are tolerated in the Ottoman lands. You don't get a unrest penalty with them. You actually get 1.5 unrest reduction. It's better than most countries actually from this perspective. Super strong units, the best units in the game at the start, the Anatolian units, because you get Janissaries at level 9. These are fire units at military tech 9. Most countries get them at military tech 12, and your military tech 12 units are double the strength of regular Western units. So these guys, the second infantry, are the equivalent of 2 regular Western infantry units, more or less. A nation that might be a little bit controversial here is the Timurids. The Timurids start with 5 vassals all around them here, and these vassals might be a little bit disloyal at the start, but it's really easy to fix that. You can just go for the taxation policy. You also go for the amirs, and you give out the strong duchies. And if you still need to make these guys loyal, you can always get a royal marriage. Royal marriage with these nations gives you another minus 5% liberty desire. So there we go. When we hover over strong duchies, lenient taxation, benevolent, blah 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 blah, royal marriage with the Timurids, and so on. So you get the royal marriage because a lot of the times your starting leader might die, but what you can do before he dies on the 11th of December, you declare war on a jam because you have cores on their entire country. With the cores from a jam, you're big enough so that your vassals do not become disloyal even if your main guy dies here. He has a special trait, minus 50% liberty desire in the subjects. It's actually a modifier, not a trait, my bad. So this one disappears once Shakrur dies, but it's not so bad. Remember, you can also develop their provinces. You can also placate them. There's so many ways of keeping them in check. It's insane. If you know how to keep them in check afterwards, the world is your oyster. It's stronger than the Ottomans, okay? So play as the Timurids, boyos. Obviously, Poland is also going to be on this list. Poland starts off in a really particular fashion. They have a vassal here of Mazovia, but within the first 5 years, they also get a march in Moldova, and they also get a personal union over Lithuania, and eventually with that personal union they can establish the Commonwealth, or you can abandon the Commonwealth and instead you can just flip on over to Ruthenian culture and form Ruthenia for the juicy government reform, the Tsardom. Remember though, you want to keep your Polish ideas because Poland does have insanely strong ideas: production efficiency, infantry compatibility and manpower, discipline, morale of armies. I'll be totally honest with you, this is a little bit of a meme. You probably heard it in the EU4 community. Oh, Poland can get the insane amount of cav compatibility. Yes, still not worth it. Even with the 100 combat ability, still not worth it. The position of Poland is great. You can easily expand in the HRE and can disband the HRE within the first few years if you want to. You can expand into the east, you can expand into the south, and you're always going to have something to do. It's a very fun game usually and filled with action. If you're an action kind of guy, you're going to love this nation. A nation that, despite not being too big at the start of the game, is definitely a really great nation for both beginners, and it's an easy nation to play in the game. Even if you're an experienced player, you're gonna have an easy time regardless of your experience in this game. You start as a junior partner of Aragon, but you can get your independence either from an event that usually triggers in the first few years, or you can get it via the Independence War. You can usually get 1 or 2 nations to support your independence if you're lucky. There you go, Castile supports your independence, and France supports it also if you improve relations a little bit with them. So by the time that you get your truce finished, which is in 47, in 3 years you can improve relations with the French, and then you get both of these massive nations to kill off Aragon for you. You have from the beginning cores on Sicily and Malta. This is a lot of development here. I think it's like 60 or 50 something development in all of these provinces. Once you have that, you get the monument in Malta, which is one of the strongest monuments in the game, and you also have a really strong monument in your capital that offers 100 governing capacity. This is insane. The reform progress growth again is really great, especially for the early game. There's a lot of other monuments in this area you can snatch if you want to. I also recommend going for the Byzantine vassal early on, so you can kill off the Ottomans and feed them the provinces to the Byzantine vassal. Also, directly take the province of Athens, fully upgrade it, because then you get minus 20 advisor cost reduction. Stack that up with the monument in Firenze that again offers minus 20 advisor cost reduction, and the monument in Cairo that offers again minus 15 advisor cost reduction. So that's minus 55 advisor cost reduction from these 3 monuments, and this can be super doable before the 1550s or even earlier 1500 if you just target this directly from the beginning. You can get the other minus 50% advisor cost reduction for the advisors from the event or from the missions, and then you can have minus 90% because that's the limit. You cannot have cheaper than minus 90% advisors. Minus 90% cheaper advisors, that means you have level 5 advisors from the first 50 years for the rest of the game. Insane amount of mana points for the entirety of the game. Boom, you won. You literally won, son. The Mamluk, the strongest of all the European / North African nations at the start. You're about to type in the comments, oh, Ludi, Mamluk is not in Europe. You're so stupid. You said Mamluk easiest European, bro. I said and North Africa. You listen carefully, okay? So Mamluks have a similar situation to the Ottomans. They got their own government, the Mamluk government. It has advisor cost minus 25 for advisors with the ruler's culture, promote cultures, governing capacity, admin skill guaranteed +2, and autonomy reduction, and so on. It's a really powerful government. Not to mention, depending on the culture of your leader, you can get a lot of bonuses. Like, you can get a lot of manpower, you can get a lot of cash, you can get the power cost for everything, every interaction 5% cheaper. This is a really big one here. It's a massive nation. What can I tell you, man? This is what? It's the second strongest after Ming. 361 development at the start. Everybody wants to be a little bish. So if you go to diplomatically vassalize, everybody wants to be a vassal. Everybody wants to be a vassal. It's insane. Half of the Arabian parts wants to be a vassal. So you can diplomatically vassalize Medina, ally them, and diplomatically vassalize. Once you've vassalized Medina, there's an event where Hejaz inherits all of Medina, so you don't waste 2 diplo slots. You just get 1 diplo slot for all of this land here. You can do the same with Fez on everything else here. And the Ottomans are going to be a big problem, but what most people like to do is they no-CB Byzantium, vassalize Byzantium, and then attack the Ottomans after and feed all of the Byzantine cores to the Byzantine vassal from the Ottomans. So you get all of this here. And if you do that, the Ottomans are essentially dead, because this area here, not only does it cut them in half, this area here is the richest area out of all of their provinces at the start, and where most of their trade's going to be filtered into. Plus, you can at the same time kill these guys here so that you cut off the expansion path that Ottomans have. Even though they have better troops than you, pip-wise, you're going to crush them. You also have better cavalry units than the Ottomans. So if you really struggle, what you can do, and I recommend this, you focus a little bit more on your cav, because your cavs, after Tech 6, they have better pips than the Ottoman cav have. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Send me a cake. Where's my cake, huh? We talked about you sending me a cake. So did you lie to me? Is this what this whole thing was? Was it all a lie?